Hi, so this particular video is for anyone who is a little bit further on their unit trust journey. You already know what a unit trust is. You've done a little bit of research on the options that are available, and now you just need a little bit more information, more of yardsticks that can help you make the right decision. So here are 4 things that you could consider before you zero in on that particular one that feels like the perfect fit for you. So the first thing is the fund purpose. Unit trusts have, even though it might not be declared from the start, and also based on what the strategy and the aims of the fund manager is, they usually have a purpose, and it's an intricate part of them. Like, as a human being, you might have a purpose that is not necessarily plastered across your face, but from interactions with people and how you carry yourself, people get a sense of the things that you do and what your purpose ultimately is. So one of those things is the fund purpose. Some of different unit trusts have different purposes. All right, it could be for capital growth, it could be for store of value, just to retain your value, and that is to say, of course you will earn money, but it will feel more that you're actually just storing and maintaining that value. Okay, and then of course capital growth is earning deliberate increase in the money that you've invested in. All right, and then, but of course that is also balanced out with the risk involved. And then also it could also be for just income, side income. So under those 3 things that I mentioned, they are not the only ones, but you might get a sense of what the purpose of the fund is. Okay, so like I said, it's either capital preservation, capital growth, or a recurring source of income. And so those objectives and how much they weigh in, to be honest, they're all for the same thing. And I don't think you'll find a unit trust that just preserves your capital without necessarily growing it, but the percentages in which they do those things are different. And so you will know where the unit trust is leaning from just this and also the other 3 things that I'm going to mention. So it's important that you study the information that you're given and ask all the relevant questions so that you can get the right information. Then the other thing is time. Time is money, and also based on the objectives of the unit trust. If it is investing more in long-term assets and securities, it is important then to also align your objectives with that and know that your earnings will make more sense in the longer term. But if it's a short-term investment that you're looking to make and get something back a little bit more short-term, then it wouldn't really serve you well to invest in a unit trust that mostly focuses on long-term securities or is dealing in the long-term market. So I think that is also important, that you align your time constraints with the unit trust. And then also you need to compare fund performance. This is information that can be given to you, and it is readily available. And because now you already have the options, like I said, this is for people who are already on that journey and are just zeroing in down on something. If you do not even know what a unit trust is, then you probably have to watch earlier videos. But for this, for fund performance, compare, shop around and see the options you have and see how they've been performing, whether that is quarterly or annually. The level of investment that might also indicate the trust and the confidence that people have in them. So that can also help you, but that is completely based, of course, on personal preference. So you should compare that. You should also compare the fund size, the strategies. If you're getting a little bit technical. So then also the fees, and then the time constraint. Again, it's important that you align your time requirements with what the fund is offering. Otherwise, it will start to feel like the fund isn't good enough for you. And then the fourth and final and also equally important is the fund portfolio and the diversification. And here, what we're basically looking on is the risk and how that risk is managed, and then how it is, of course, distributed along those lines. This is also very important, but it's also it can be sometimes a bit technical. And while there might be a lot of confidence in unit trusts, and why it is very often difficult for them to fail is because they do a lot of risk management, and they try to balance out high risk and low risk investments so that they can, be able to cross out if things go south or otherwise. But that is something that you should also look at. And that goes back to the first point I mentioned about the performance, about the purpose as well, because somebody who is investing in stocks doesn't really have the same returns or objectives, not necessarily, as someone who is depositing, who is investing in bills and bonds. So you need to study the portfolio as well. Well, I think there is a lot of regulation done by the Capital Markets Authority to prevent any dubious business here and there. I think it's just about just you going a bit further, just to know what the portfolio is and how that risk is distributed. It's an interesting thing to learn. Thank you very much for watching this. Hope you have if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them.